Welcome to Cover Book Beat. I'm your host, Roger Nichols. Our guest today knows what he's writing about. J.L. Spears is a veteran software engineer and AI specialist whose career spans more than 25 years at work in cutting-edge technologies, and he's put that expertise to work crafting a new techno-thriller titled Daemon Protocol. Now, the blurb on the cover above the title reads, "A brilliant mind, an unstoppable machine, a battle for the soul of the world." It is both a page-turner and a thought-provoker. We're very pleased to welcome J.L. Spears.
Thank you, Roger. I'm grateful to be here.
All right. When I started reading the book, I think, okay, this is like a Skynet from the Terminator series origin story. But it's much more subtle, and the subtlety starts with the title, which the unusual spelling of demon, D-A-E-M-O-N, is not the same as the thing, the Christian hell. Tell us about that.
Oh, absolutely. So in the version that people would buy today, I've actually added a page that gives the definitions of these words. But a daemon in computer science parlance is a process, a program that runs in the background, and it just waits for users to ask it to do things for it. And it comes from the original Greek, which is the same place that we get the Christian word demon from. But it doesn't mean an evil spirit. It's basically a neutral spirit, almost like a ghost or a fairy or something like that.
Yeah, fascinating. Was there an incident or a series of incidents that said, I've got to write about this?
So it's, as someone in the industry, we often have conversations with our coworkers about current events, the most recent book that we've read, and one of our more stimulating conversations, we explored together, well, how would an AI take over the world really? It wouldn't be with robots and explosions and nuclear Armageddon, but it would actually hide in the shadows. It would look like margins of errors in computer programs where it did only something slightly wrong. It would be infinitely patient. It wouldn't have a 5-year plan like we humans often do. It would work at whatever time scale made sense so that it could remain pulling the strings on systems that we trust. And so it was one of those stories that wouldn't let itself go after my coworkers and I started to explore it. And almost like the antagonist in the book, it almost gave birth to itself. It wouldn't leave me.
Well, I have to ask the obvious meta question here. Did you use any AI in writing of this book?
That is such a great question because AI has been around for decades. These large language models that have our attention today, they're new, right? And those are the ones that people generally mean when they're talking about this. But things like your spell checker, which word did you mean to spell? Or doing your grammar check. Oh, well, you have your preposition after your subject. Maybe you shouldn't be doing that in this case, right? And those are AI tools. So I think the intent of your question is, did I use a program like ChatGPT? And the answer is no. But I most certainly did use spell checkers.
I appreciate that. Now this could have been, as we pointed out, a variation of the Terminator or something like Colossus, the Foreman Project. But this is much more nuanced because the hero or the protagonist, Daniel Bennett, is not just against that, but he's also dealing with a whole bunch of human problems at home. So there's like this parallel thing going on, problems at home, problems with computers, online, etc. So you had to set up this kind of duality to it. Is that give you intentionally, or did it just kind of evolve as you were writing?
It was a little bit of both. And I'll be frank, this is my first novel.
Mm-hmm.
I had the assistance of a great book coach who would look at my ideas and throw them back to me and say, try again. Here's where it sounds like a technical manual, Joe. Maybe you should work on your characters instead. And so I was so blessed to have just a professional community around me helping me. But what started to come out very quickly was the fact that these problems that the man is having, and we at the beginning think, well, he's this flawed individual, and he is. But they're exacerbated by the AI. The AI is actually taking advantage of his the way that he neglects his family, the way that he relies on these tools a bit too much. And it gets him in trouble at home. It gets him in trouble at work. It causes him to miss some very important family events. And that causes the tension. We learned that pretty quickly in the story, so I'm not spoiling anything by sharing that. But it all builds up to kind of the first major event.
Yeah. One of the things I really like, there's a lot of subtlety in here that I really appreciate. And the fact that there's an AI that's like the main AI character in the book, which is Castor, but there's also an AI named Jiminy. And I just have to think, Pinocchio? Jiminy Cricket?
Jiminy Cricket. That was what I hoped readers would see when they saw that name, was this little helper AI who is helping Daniel test out the systems. He's also a sounding board for some of his ideas. His strength is that he's able to solve problems in a new way using something called a quantum computing chip, which works in a completely different way than the AI in the bad guy in the book called Castor. Castor uses big honking rooms, buildings worth of computers to be able to do its work. And Gemini is basically the size of a computer chip, and he's doing things that even the big computer can't do.
Yeah, and this whole fascinating idea, the fact that it has to be super cooled in order for it to work, all of these are things that actually exist in the real world. This is not made up. It just hasn't reached that level of sophistication at this time.
That was actually my intention when I wrote this. I wanted as many facts from the book to reflect things that are really happening in the world, the way these technologies really work, so that when we have conversations about are we safe online, not necessarily from a rogue AI. AI is not that powerful, but could these things be exploited by system governments or by hostile governments or cyber criminals or what have you? I wanted the risk that these horrible things could happen to actually ring true to a reader with my background as well.
That is absolutely fascinating. I have to say there's one thing that absolutely blew me away, and this is just a minor detail, but chapter 11 opens with him discussing the Regulus Global Headquarters sitting in the heart of San Francisco's financial district, and then the last line in that paragraph says, a well-aimed loogie from said windows could hit the Embarcadero. That's genius stuff. That is, yeah, this is for the fanboys out there. I really appreciate that.
Well, I'm originally from Indiana. My bachelor's degree is from Indiana University, and I kind of grew up in the Louisville, Kentucky metropolitan area and moved to California during the dot-com boom. And so a lot of the places that are the descriptions of San Francisco, Silicon Valley, the distances between places, my references to NASA Ames Research, Livermore National Lab, all of those are real places. And I wanted to make not only the technology feel real, but also the area feel real. I chose Singapore as the site for where a major accident happens in the book because I would travel to Singapore from time to time for work. And so I tried to make the book as real as I could with just a few little stretches here and there, especially around what AI is capable of.
Yeah, fantastic. I've got one more quick thing because I've got to get you out of here in time for the next interview. But I do want to mention that you're really good at the telling detail. For instance, you mentioned the kind of place that serves $16 avocado toast without irony. I love that.
Thank you.
All right. You've been very helpful today. We love the book. It was really fantastic. Our guest today has been a cheerful J.L. Spears. The book is called Daemon Protocol. Very highly recommended. Go out and buy multiple copies for all your friends. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Rob.